Welcome to the Tailgate, brought to you by Verizon. 5G built right from the network more people rely on, only on Verizon. I'm Michelle Margaux, alongside Ralph Vacchiano. And Ralph, have you gotten over Mike White fever yet?
Well, Michelle, before I get into Mike White fever, I didn't know we were doing things with backgrounds. You're in such a nice location. I think I need to go someplace too. This is much better. I'm much more comfortable now.
Yours is beautiful, but mine is real.
Oh my gosh.
This is real, yeah.
You're like in a jungle someplace. This is my reality, sadly, as I cover the Jets and the Giants. But we'll go back to normal here for a second.
Yeah, speaking of Mike White fever, you done?
Yes, right. We were talking about Mike White. Yeah, I'm over Mike White. It was fun while it lasted, but it was only going to be as much fun as when he was playing well. We knew that once he crashed down to earth, no matter the circumstances, for me, it was always going to be time to move on, to go back to Zach Wilson. And look, it's not Mike White's fault that he ran into the number one defense in football. It was, a no-win situation against the Buffalo Bills, but they can't, let him continue and see if they have some magic in a guy that has been overlooked by the entire league. They've got a second overall pick. Their young franchise quarterback that they have to develop. To me, this whole rest of the season has to be about Zach Wilson. Mike White, thanks for the memories. It was fun, but it's over.
Let's call an audible and welcome in the Ringer and Spotify's John Jastremski. JJ, another struggling week for the Jets defense. What do you make of the Jets' struggles, especially the defense, considering they were supposed to be the strength of this team?
Michelle, I'm glad that you asked me that question because I feel like New York City, with all of the Mike White hoopla, lost sight of the fact that the Jets have given up 45 points now in back-to-back weeks. What exactly is the Jet defense doing at a competent level? They're not getting after the quarterback. They got all sorts of problems within the secondary. I don't know why you would think it's a good idea to basically leave Stephon Diggs one-on-one when he's one of the best receivers in football. Robert Saleh is supposed to be this defensive-minded head coach. Yes, the Jets got to get their second overall pick back into action. And yes, Mike White ended up turning into a pumpkin. But don't forget about the fact that the Jet defense has been a joke now, Ralph, for about a month.
Yeah, what's most mind-boggling about that is they were a decent defense for the first 5 games of the season. Then they went to the bye week where they self-scouted and analyzed everything. And somehow since then in 4 games, they're giving up an extra 100 yards and an extra 20 points per game. So when they were trying to fix things, they made it exponentially worse, which I don't think I've ever seen. Honestly, this past month, the way the Jets defense is playing, I'm not sure I've ever covered a defense as bad as this. And I am telling you, as a longtime coverer of New York football, I have seen some tragically bad defenses. This one is right up there, and I don't know that they know how to fix it.
Well, guys, we knew this was going to be a rebuilding year for the Jets. Ralph, what do you need to see from them just to know that they are in a good place?
I think there's 2 things for me down the stretch. One is they have to play competitive games. This getting blown out, giving up 45 points is going to get old. It's going to get old for all the players in the locker room, certainly all the fans. At the very least, you thought that Robert Saleh would have them playing some kind of competitive games for most of the season. So that will go a long way towards making people believe it's on track. As for the other thing, it's all about Zach Wilson. He's going to have some ups and downs, but if his arrow is pointing up at the end of the season and the Jets are playing some close games, I'll start to believe that maybe there's some hope on the horizon.
You can't be getting destroyed the way they've gotten destroyed over the last couple of games. I think a lot of the Jet fans are real with the fact that this was not going to be a winning team, that this was a team that was going to lose a whole lot of games. But it felt like early in the year, they were fighting, they were scratching, they were clawing, they were in a lot of these games. Last couple of games, New England blew their doors off. Don't look at the Colts game. That was a lot of extended garbage time with the Colts basically playing a prevent defense. And this past week against the Buffalo Bills, the discrepancy between Buffalo and the Jets, my goodness, it is mind-boggling. But the idea of being in these games and winning a couple of these games, because you don't exactly have a murderer's row schedule over the next few weeks. This cannot be another year where it looks like you're basically starting from the ground up, and that's where you're taking it right in year 2.
Time now for a new segment we call Fair Weather Fans, and we're going to take a look at some of the highs and lows of the last few weeks from Mike White, starting with this tweet. The first of many. Mike White will have a bronze bust in Canton once his career's over.
Hey, Leger, Willie, Bart, you better get out to Canton fast for the Mike White exhibit before they throw it in the dumpster.
I just want to apologize for what Mike White is going to do to the Bills secondary. They're already talking about putting a warrant out. They're, Chere.
I can't wait until 5 years from now when I'm drinking with my friends and we play the name random starting quarterbacks game and I get to say Mike White.
Naming my first child Mike White as a first name.
Love the Mike White to Tre'Davious White connection. Puts finger to ear. I'm being told that's not how it should go. We apologize for the error.
Let's get into the New York state of mind, and former Jets coach Rex Ryan basically laid into current Jets coach Robert Saleh, saying, quote, "Don't ever compare me to this guy," end quote, because both guys are former defensive gurus. And Rex also said that Saleh's team doesn't play with heart. And Saleh responded by saying, quote, "He knows where to find me," end quote, and that Rex always has something to say. Ralph, what are your thoughts on this?
I love it. Welcome back, Rex Ryan. He always made football interesting here in New York, and now that he's not a coach, he loves to talk and can inject a little controversy, maybe take some of the pressure away from the Jets, some of the focus away from how bad they are by injecting himself into this thing. It's ridiculous, of course, because Rex Ryan actually inherited a pretty good team when he was the Jets coach, and it doesn't take away from how good a coach he was, how much energy he had, but he had a deck that was stacked much better than what Robert Saleh has inherited. So I don't know that, any of this is necessarily fair, but it's fun. It was even more fun when Robert Saleh's brother fired back and got into not only calling Rex Ryan a clown, but reminded him of his foot fetish, as it were, that famous controversy from a few years ago. So have at it. It makes for great headlines and great talk radio and a good topic for our show.
Well, I love the fact when you can have a little brotherly love and you got Robert Saleh's brother sticking up for him on Twitter. And it's like old times, like Rex getting involved, making statements, going above and beyond. And listen, Rex Ryan, no pun intended, doesn't know when to put the foot in the mouth. That's what it comes down to. And Rex had success here. I don't want to make Rex out to be a total loser as a head coach, because he did take the team to 2 AFC title games. He beat Tom Brady. He beat Bill Belichick. He beat Peyton Manning in playoff games. But does Robert Saleh have Darrelle Revis on his team? Does Robert Saleh have David Harris and Sean Ellis and that core that was built from the Eric Mangini, Mike Tannenbaum regime that went to the playoffs in 2006? The answer to that question is no. So I don't know if Rex wants to come take over the team. I don't think he's going to have that much more success, quite frankly. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe Rex's opinion of himself is just way higher than my opinion of his might particularly be. But let's see Rex go take this team, and I don't think they're winning 7, 8, or 9 games. Just food for thought.
Rex Ryan's opinion of himself is pretty high. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
JJ, moving on to the Giants, they faced the Bucs, who just lost to the Washington football team over the weekend. Does this make Monday's matchup any tougher?
Yeah, I hate it, Michelle. I really do. I hate getting angry Tom Brady. I hate getting a team that's flat out better, that's going to be ticked off, that's coming off a terrible performance, and now has to kind of stew on that for a week. Now, a couple of things here. The Giants, under Daniel Jones and Joe Judge, for whatever the reason, they play better on the road. They've covered a lot more games when they've been on the road. So that's something to take into account. But I also want to see what the status of Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski is going to be, because you could tell Sunday when Brady was taking on the football team, he didn't have that same swagger. He was looking for his dudes. He missed Antonio Brown on third down. He missed Rob Gronkowski trying to find him within the red zone. So those are 2 injuries I'm going to watch over the course of this week. But this is a very, very tall order for the Giants. It was going to be anyway, but I have a hard time believing, Ralph, they're going to go into Tampa and win this game outright.
When you've got Tom Brady having just been embarrassed for him with an extra day to work on it, with a whole week to try to figure out what went wrong going into a primetime matchup, you're right. He's angry Tom Brady right now, and I wouldn't want to face him if I were the Giants. That's still a Super Bowl caliber team in Tampa that knows it had some issues, will fix it quickly, and the Giants, maybe they'll have enough offense and everything to be able to stay in this game, but Tom Brady's going to find a way to win it.
Yeah, he always seems to do that. JJ, thank you so much for your time.
You got it, Michelle.
Let's get into victory formation. The Packers' first stock sale in 10 years started on Tuesday at $300 a share. For the $300, you get absolutely nothing, but you can say that you own a piece of the Packers, and you can't resell the shares. Now, I'm not saying, Ralph, that I am fiscally responsible, considering the fact that I've spent more than that on just a pair of shoes that have no investment value whatsoever, but would you do this for your favorite team?
No, I wouldn't do this for anyone or for anything. This is one of the great scams in American sports history, right up there with the stupid personal seat licenses where people pay $20,000 for the right to buy tickets, which is just the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard of until this. Michelle, if you really want a piece of the Green Bay Packers, you can go on eBay for $50 and you can buy a fake certificate framed and then just tell your friends that you bought the real one for $300. Or if you really want the Packers experience, you can go to the store and buy 100 blocks of cheese for $300. And if you don't like the Packers, I'm pretty sure you could get 300 tickets to the next Jets game for $300. So there's a lot better ways to spend your money than that stupid, worthless certificate that's just going to make Aaron Rodgers a little wealthier.
Yeah, it's definitely capitalizing on people's need to fulfill their own egos.
It's unbelievable.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Tailgate for Ralph Vacchiano. I'm Michelle Margaux, and we'll see you next week.